Continuing from the previous episode 2360. For a month, Xueying had been living in the stone room to calmly regulate the many powers in his body, and even missed the mighty Poison God Festival in the Poison God Palace. However, I gained a lot of insights because of this, and I became more and more proficient in the strength of my double reincarnation rank. Hoo-hoo! In the quiet stone room, Xueying slowly exhaled the last trace of pure gas. His eyes that had been closed for a long time suddenly slowly opened, and the majestic power of reincarnation poured out from his body like a fountain. The double reincarnation level is really not comparable to the first level. Xueying stretched out his hand and clenched his fist, feeling the extreme surging power of destruction permeating, and couldn't help but laugh. The trip to the demon world not only solved the problem of the little medical fairy, but also broke through the double reincarnation level due to misfortune, which can be said to be a double happiness. Many matters in the demon world have been completed, and I have to leave. Ziyan, Yun, and the missing Su Xueying. After finishing the retreat, the corners of his mouth kept muttering two very impressive names, so that every time the last name was mentioned, Xueying felt a little pain in his heart. The guardian of the Xiao family, all kinds of past events sting Xueying's heart, and he doesn't know where this guy is now. Boom! Xueying was full of emotions, and those emotions turned into drops of crystal energy, which slowly fell to the ground of the stone room. In an instant, countless luxurious and noble stones on the ground of the stone room turned into powder, and an extremely violent energy beam rose from the ground, which also carried an astonishing energy. Wang buzz! The top of the stone room was easily pierced, and the energy quietly cut through the sky, awakening the peaceful Poison God Palace. Little friend Xueying's strength has become even more terrifying. Xueying's figure just emerged from the stone room and stood in the sky, and suddenly a refreshing laughter sounded, accompanied by a few black shadows swooping in from a distance. Zuner, little medical fairy, senior crocodile ancestor. In order not to disturb the order of the Poison God Palace, Xueying and the others slowly landed on the square in the main hall of the Poison God Palace. Xueying cupped his hands and smiled at Crocodile Zu. He looked at the two women beside him. He hadn't seen each other for a few days. The fluctuations on the two women seemed to have undergone an extremely rare change. Brother Xueying, during your retreat, Sister Xueying has been reappointed as the Palace Master of the Poison God Palace, integrating the power of the entire Poison Palace. Today, she is a bit incredible. Zuner came to Xueying's side and said quite happily. Zuner and Xueying are actually not different from young and old. The elder sister's name is for Xueying, that's why. After all, with Zuner's intelligence, she naturally understands some other thoughts and regrets in Xueying's heart. How can? After some laughter followed, indescribably quiet, but Crocodile Zu's eyes were locked on Xueying from beginning to end, as if he was worried about something. Wang buzz! During the conversation between the few people, the void above the square suddenly twisted, and a poisonous beast climbed out of it, and then gently came to the delicate body of the little medical fairy. What happened? With the appearance of such a strange thing, Xueying also noticed that the smile on Xueying's cheeks instantly solidified. There is news from the Void Mansion. It seems that the powerhouse of our Poison God Palace has been plotted against. The little doctor's beautiful eyes were filled with anger, and then there were bursts of solemnity on her cheeks. She has just been titled, and such serious things have happened under the demon realm. I am afraid her intentions are obvious. The Void Mansion is the junction of our Poison God realm and the Demon God realm. Our two realms have always been well water and not river water. It seems that this time things are definitely not so simple. Crocodile Ancestor took a step forward, his eyes also full of solemnity. In the demon world, once the reincarnation level powerhouses go out, there will be clear records. All these matters are under the control of the center of the demon world, and naturally there will be no interference in the affairs of the Poison God Palace. But if an enemy of unknown origin appeared on the edge of the Poison God realm, the reincarnation level powerhouses, would not be able to take action easily. Little Dr. Immortal, do you want to help? Xueying's eyes were indifferent, and he opened his mouth immediately. The two of them do not belong to the demon realm, so they are not under the jurisdiction of the demon realm center. Yep, but... Little Dr. Immortal agreed first, then looked at Crocodile Ancestor beside him, as if dodging, and his silver teeth bit his lip lightly. In the Void Mansion, there is a 3-level reincarnation-level powerhouse in the Poison God realm sitting in town. If he can wipe out his entire army, I am afraid that the people who come here are not good, and the situation in your team is only half understood. I will go with you. The little medical fairy turned around, looked at the vast world in the Poison God Palace, and opened his mouth faintly. Cough cough. Hearing what Xiaoyishen said, Crocodile Zhu kept waving his palms, as if he was communicating with Xiaoyan. Similar to today's little medical fairy, but the real overlord of the entire Poison God realm. Even if he has not grown up, that is the real background, Crocodile Zhu can't bear to take this girl out to take risks. However, considering the relationship between Xiaoyan and Xiaoyan in the previous battle, he could only ask Xiaoyan for help. That's not good? The matter of the Poison God Palace has just been stabilized, and the power of the reincarnation seal in your body has not been completely controlled, plus the existence of 2 Poison God tokens. Leaving the Poison God Palace rashly is not a wise move. Xiaoyan was slightly startled, and immediately shook his head to cut off the idea of Xiaoyishen. But, hearing the words, Xiaoyishen immediately pouted and said dissatisfiedly. He seemed to have known the result for a long time, but he couldn't help but give it a try. After all, she is cold by nature and doesn't like this huge realm that is restricted by people. Because to a certain extent, after the changes of the First World War, in the 7 realms, except for the human realm, the demon realm and ghost realm and other realms do not have the tyranny of the demon realm. The wonderful reason. Let's go, just to investigate the matter clearly, and send someone to send a message back, so we can go directly back to the human world. Yep, will we meet again? There was a faint expectation in her eyes, as if a pure and innocent little girl was waiting for something worth looking forward to. Will do. See you next time. I'm not weaker than you or Sister Zuner. That's not necessarily true. Let's go. Crocodile Ancestor rolled his eyes, looked at Xiaoyan who poured into the void, and joked. Senior, you already know how to make fun of me. Xiaoyi slowly shook his head, and then his expression of laughter gradually became darker, and a strange feeling that strangers should not be approached pervaded. This is something that can't be helped. Don't worry, Palace Master, everything will change when you stand in front of this guy for a long time. Can I really be with him? Even if Sister Zuner has recognized it, there is still Sister Kaylin, At this time, the little medical fairy is like a young woman who is deeply in love, wandering endlessly, but even she herself does not know. It is precisely because of this kind of strange power such as affection, that the practice of poison power and other powers can achieve twice the result with half the effort. However, she buried a seed in her heart, which will be used to fill the vacancy left in the Do-Chi continent in a long time. This time, it seems that all the regrets ended with a perfect ending. Continuing from the previous episode 2361. After saying goodbye to the Poison God Palace, Xiaoyan and Zuner, with the help of the powerful people in the Poison God Palace, directly tore the space passage and headed towards the place where the incident happened, the Void Mansion. This time, I always feel that it is not so simple. In the dark void, Xiaoyan and Zuner moved fast one after the other, but Xiaoyan's brows were a little puzzled. In the Poison God realm's most powerful force, there are not only many powerful people, but also control the entire Poison God realm. It is obviously not a wise thing to come to attack the Poison God realm. If it's really as the intelligence says, it's the so-called Demon God realm powerhouse, I'm afraid things won't be so simple. It is said that in the Demon God realm, there is also a magic sword that no one has been able to draw since ancient times. According to my guess, I am afraid that the appearance of a new poison *** in the Poison God realm has made the originally evenly matched Demon God realm feel a great deal. The pressure is in crisis, so this is why we are ready to summon the strong to explore the truth. After all, once the new Poison God grows up, the Demon God realm will inevitably be suppressed. Zuner shook her head, like a caring and delicate housekeeper, calmly analyzing it to Xiaoyan. Hope so. As soon as the words fell, the speed of the two was skyrocketing. Although they encountered a lot of dangers such as space cracks along the way, the trip was a near miss. On the other side, a void located on the edge of the Poison God realm rose slightly. This place was mysterious and special, and unless there was special guidance, it would be difficult to find it. The interior of the void is pitch black, and gloomy auras continue to emerge, and the whole looks like a land of thorns full of dead silence. The area of Thorns is still huge, covering several kilometers of territory, but its edges are engraved with countless large and small black lines, which seem to be used to suppress and seal the edges of the two realms. With the existence of such a void mansion, the powerhouses of the two realms cannot tear the void and act rashly, and once the seal in the plane is broken, it may cause a lot of disasters. In the center of the Land of Thorns, there is a towering black giant hall standing. At this time, there is no sound here, but the traces of fights in the Land of Thorns indicate that there may have just been a war here. Hey, the Demon Lord's instructions are really accurate. Now that the Void Mansion has been breached by us, after we break these seals, the army of our Demon God realm can use this to continuously cross the void and directly attack the Poison God Palace. However, is the Poison God who has recently been rumored in the Poison God realm for real? It must be a rumor. The Poison God realm has not appeared in the Poison God realm for countless years. Now it's a troubled time. How could one suddenly appear? Not far from the Black Giant Hall, on some thorn rocks in the Land of Thorns, there will be some black gas and whispers from time to time. Peefed. With a sound, a golden light and a glazed light flashed suddenly. What is this? The two rays of light flashed away, but they still aroused the vigilance of these strange creatures. The smell of fire? Send the signal. The black air was leisurely and tactful, and immediately turned into a figure wrapped in black mist. After a while, he snorted coldly, and his voice was extraordinarily dignified. You. Why do you want to offend my Poison God realm? Xueying was more or less surprised. With his strength in the second reincarnation rank, he would be found by these 8-star fighting immortals? Immediately, he could only pull Zuner to emerge from the void. Go! The black shadow roared, and suddenly hundreds of surging breaths roared from the Land of Thorns, among which there were a few breaths of reincarnation. Brother Xueying, you can't scare the snake. Zuner frowned, and immediately looked into the Black Giant Hall. At the same time, the holy flame that had been silent for a long time in Zuner's body suddenly jumped. Could it be that there is also a holy flame in this Black Giant Hall, or a holy flame controller? Zuner said with some doubts, but the soul power couldn't penetrate the giant hall to detect the situation inside. Peefed. Countless glazed rays of light ignited around Xueying's body, and immediately mercilessly blasted away at these black fog figures. The place where the huge sacred power spread was actually bursts of harsh white smoke. Even though the power contained in these black mists was not bad, it was unable to resist Xueying's destructive offensive and was defeated one after another. Guru. More and more black fog was destroyed and strangled by Xueying, and several black fog worthy of reincarnation surged rapidly, and it seemed that those who escaped were roaring towards the Black Giant Hall. Crack! Naturally, Xueying would not let the tiger return to the mountain. His power was surging, so he raised his sword and fell, and all the power of the black mist inhabiting the Land of Thorns was killed by him. Array pattern. After doing all this, Xueying did not step into the Black Giant Hall hastily, but instead combined the formation pattern with the power of holy flame to surround the thorns of this void mansion. This is also done so that something seems to let the enemy run away, thereby stunning the snake. The breath inside seems to be a little weak. After making all the preparations, Xueying mobilized his soul power to explore the interior of the giant black palace, but his brows wrinkled. According to the news before the separation in the Poison God Palace, this void mansion is guarded by a strong man in the Poison God Palace who is comparable to the triple reincarnation rank, but now there is no trace of the strong man in the Poison God Palace. All traces show that the strength of the attacker is probably extremely terrifying. Even Xueying's current strength is a genuine double reincarnation rank, and there is no certainty that he can go beyond the third reincarnation rank. However, although there is no complete certainty, Xueying is not afraid of this, and even has some expectations. How much stronger is his current strength after the improvement than before? Come on, be careful. The power of the soul was exerted, completely wrapping the two, hiding in the void and stepping into the Black Giant Hall step by step. Peefed. Instead of entering through the main entrance of the Black Giant Hall, based on Xueying's soul power and space power, he quietly infiltrated around the giant hall and poured into it. In the Black Giant Hall, there is a huge square, and there are countless strange black mists lingering on the square, and even 10 dark stone pillars are scattered all over it. The stone pillars are covered with countless eerie black patterns, and even one after another, like the pitch-black chains used by the powerhouses of the Soul Palace, extend from the tops of the 10 stone pillars. 10 chains and 10 stone pillars are intertwined with each other, but there are actually 3 looming and strange light groups, each of which has a faint aura that keeps flickering. That guy is Bamboo Spirit Layman? Gulu? Su Xueying? 2 voices of astonishment sounded like a thunderbolt from the blue sky, faintly resounding from the minds of Xiaoyan and Zuner. As for the most dazzling and weak light group in the 3rd group, I am afraid it is the triple reincarnation level powerhouse guarding this place in the Poison God Palace. Vertex. Continuing from the previous episode 2362. In the Black Giant Hall, because Xiaoyan and the 2 have tyrannical soul power and holy flame protection, they were not noticed by the powerhouses living in it. It's just that the 2 of them looked at the dark chains that spread out from the top of the 10 stone pillars, and the 3 figures were tightly bound, and their brows were furrowed. At this moment, these dark chains were like vines that eroded life tightly wrapped around the bodies of the 2, making them unable to move, and even the breath in their bodies gradually weakened, and their faces were extremely pale. The 3 were naturally the triple reincarnation level old man sent from the Poison God Palace to guard this place, the Bamboo Spirit Layman who had a relationship in the Devil Burial River before, and some glamorous women with black curse lines all over their bodies. I don't know if it was because of the woman's intuition or other factors, but when Zuner saw Su Xueying's position, her heart was slightly touched. In the void of the Black Giant Hall, there is a wave of dead silence, and there are still a lot of residual violent energy. Above the Giant Hall, there is a black throne made of thorns. At this time, a strange black gas light group is gently floating in it, exuding a faint, ominous atmosphere. Master of the Holy Flame. A very crazy voice came from above the throne of thorns, and immediately a pair of scarlet eyes flashed in the black mist, looking at Su Xueying in a bound state, and the greed could not be added. Today's Su Xueying is full of extremely enchanting black curse lines all over her body, but her body is trembling, and the black flames in her body are actually broken little by little, and gather towards the throne of thorns. Judging from its appearance, it is obvious that it has been caught in the conspiracy and tricks of this strange shadow, and the power in the body is being eroded little by little. In the Giant Hall, except for these stone pillars and chains intertwined, the dark ground is in a mess. The head with half of the face, the long hair stained with venom had already solidified in the blood, and the wreckage of white bones could be seen everywhere, and there were some extremely frightening corpses in the entire Giant Hall. On one of the slightly intact corpses, his eyes shrank tightly, as if he saw something appalling at the moment of death. Obviously, these guys are all powerful people belonging to the Poison God Palace, but looking at this messy Giant Hall, an ominous slowly permeates. This guy is absorbing the power of the source that devours the Master of the Holy Flame? Zuner exclaimed, and the void where the 2 were hiding was slightly distorted. Hey, it looks like it's quite lively here today. Even the slightest movement did not escape the attention of the shadow on the throne of thorns, and a cold laughter sounded like death. This breath? Above the stone pillars, the 3 groups of dying light whistled at the same time. Looks like we really have a fate. There is nothing wrong with what the Book of Magic Words said. The Xueying layman's voice was trembling, and he turned his eyes to Qian Ying beside him. After saying goodbye to Xiaoyan, the Xueying layman was wandering around, and by some chance, he met Su Xueying who was involved in the turbulent time and space. Unprepared. Do not. I can't let this guy see me. On the other side, Qian Ying's delicate body trembled, and she immediately buried her head, trying her best to cover her face. Because now Su Xueying, at this time, both her snow-white skin and her originally beautiful face were all eroded by the holy flames. Today, she is no different from a witch. With the help of her surging body, Su Xueying could barely see that Xiaoyan was accompanied by a beautiful and light woman who was like a fairy in a fairy tale. The body seemed to be out of her control, and a piercing pain accompanied her. Tears slanted down. Feelings of weakness, helplessness, and despair emerged from the bottom of her heart, making Su Xueying grief-stricken. Why? Why treat me like this? Su Xueying's chest rolled, tears and anger intertwined in her eyes. She was actually activating the Do core in her body, and there was a vague sense of eccentricity. Go ahead. The trail was broken. Xiaoyan took Zuner's palm, and immediately stepped out. Somewhere in the giant hall suddenly distorted and turned into a gorgeous flame barrier. Because Su Xueying tried her best to hide, no one discovered her current situation. It's Saint Flame again? Looking at the dazzling flame barrier in front of him, the shadow on the throne of thorns stood up, wearing a black robe, showing a very gloomy smile. Cheng Cheng! The harsh sound of metal chains colliding emerged, and the old man in black robe stepped on the chain with his toes and looked at the two with a smile on his face. Be careful, this is the spirit messenger of the demon god realm. His strength is comparable to the triple reincarnation level, and the magic power he controls is extremely strange. I have fallen into his tricks, so don't take it lightly. The powerhouse of the triple reincarnation level in the Poison God Palace was shocked and said directly. I wanted to catch a big fish. Why did 2 shrimp soldiers and shrimp generals come here? It seems that this so-called new poison *** is nothing but a rumor. The enchanter smiled faintly, and there were countless spooky ghosts in the black robe behind him, which looked extremely eerie. This kind of breath is a bit like the power of the ghost world. What is going on here? Xiaoyan frowned, and immediately paid attention to the movement of the enchanter. Even the triple reincarnation rank and the bamboo spirit layman were defeated in his hands. Xiaoyan did not believe that this would be a nameless person. You seem to avoid this guy on purpose? In the light group, Zuling layman was talking, and it was obvious that since Xiaoyan appeared, this figure, who had always been arrogant and indifferent, was in a state of confusion. This guy seems to know Brother Xiaoyan. A woman's intuition is always sharp. Zuner looked up at Su Xueying's gesture, and immediately guessed. Cough cough. This guy is the guardian of our Xiao clan. The Xiao clan has done some things that are worthy of them, and it is right to hate me. Xiaoyan was startled, and hurriedly explained. Hopefully. Zuner breathed heavily. As the proud son of the ancient clan, although her temperament was kind, she would never allow her love to be constantly divided. What happened to Sister Kaylin was really an accident. She had no other way, and her love was divided into 2. The matter of Mu Yingyan came too suddenly, and she didn't have any measures to deal with it, and she couldn't bear to hurt this innocent girl. Her love was divided into 3. After the Xiao Yishen affair was over, Yu read www. Yukanshu. Zuner knew some hidden thoughts in Xiaoyan's heart. I am afraid that love will be divided into 4 at that time. If the little medical fairy succeeds, Yun will naturally also. Divided into 5, Zuner felt a pain in the corner of her heart every time she thought about it. Who doesn't want to find a good husband and only be a princess of one person? This is divided into 3, 4 or more loves, really. It's worth it, so many holy flames, this time it's not coming. Hand over all the holy flame seeds in your body. Wang buzz. The black robes surged, and there were actually countless spooky ghosts flying out, and the entire spooky hall was completely imprisoned. The gloomy wind blows, making people's mind rippling, and fear arises spontaneously. N. Continuing from the previous episode 2363. You bastard! Looking at the other bones in the giant hall, whose breath had already turned into countless corpses, and the old man above the stone pillar and Su Xueying who was seriously injured, Xiaoyan's body trembled slightly, and there was a killing intent in his eyes. I have no other feelings for Su Xueying, but because of the Xiao clan's affairs, I feel ashamed of her. After returning to the Endless Fire territory, I wanted to try my best to make amends. Now that they are reuniting in such a situation, they are naturally angry. Zuner, trust me, it's up to you here. Xiaoyan said something lightly, an endless fire of purgatory gushed out from his body, and a wisp of endless lava crawled out of ** with fierce killing intent. Tiny boy, the enchanter smiled coldly, and there was a sound of chewing in the corner of his mouth. Dingxing looked at it, and the items in this guy's mouth turned out to be broken fingers and bones. Peefed, the illusory palm stretched out, and the power of the black ghost converged into a strange palm with fluorescent light all over its body, and quietly blasted away at Xiaoyan Lingai. Looking at the attack of the oncoming soul enchanter, Xiaoyan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Facing this kind of terrifying offensive of the triple reincarnation class, there was not even a trace of retreat, and he took one step forward. Wrapped in the fist, with a whistling wind, blasted away. Peefed, the fire fist and the palm of the soul collided with each other, the sound of violent energy blasting resounded, and an amazing energy storm raged. Wang buzz. In the blink of an eye, Xueyan's body was directly knocked back several dozen meters by this tyrannical energy storm. On the other hand, the illusory black-robed body of the enchanter was still standing motionless on the pitch-black chains. The power of the ghost world, and the evil power of the aliens. Is it magic? Xueyan took a few steps back, his eyes became serious, the flames in his body began to roll, and an extremely tyrannical energy slowly emerged. The power of this soul-enchanting messenger in front of him was truly incredible, but his genuine triple reincarnation level strength, combined with such a strange power, was enough to make Xueyan truly moved. Are the owners of the Holy Flame all such incompetent people? It's ridiculous. The soul seducer grinned and smiled grimly, his laughter filled with disdain. First, the powerhouse of the triple reincarnation level in the poisonous shrine, the Zuling layman, and Su Xueying, who controls the Holy Flame, the three have no resistance, and they are defeated and bound by themselves. Now these people are here, but it is only increased sadness, that's it. Humph! Just when the emissary's laughter fell, the stone pillars and the void in the entire giant hall suddenly became shaking, and an extremely terrifying energy slowly emerged. In the midair, with Xueyan's body as the center, a flame ripple full of ancient flavor slowly overflowed. Just overflowing with a palpitating, chilling power, countless flame ripples fell below the ground. The gate of purgatory. The sound of anger roared like thunder and swept the entire sky. Once it spread, the gloomy aura in the giant hall became extremely weak. At that time, the entire giant hall trembled suddenly, and countless flames formed a black stone gate in front of everyone. Above the black stone gate, there are countless eerie black runes. In addition to this eerie power, the sacred power of the majestic holy flame is vast and suffocating. Above the stone gate, black ghost flames lingered, and the power contained in it was even more terrifying. Gulu. Such a tyrannical fluctuation. The Poison God Palace's triple reincarnation level powerhouse and Zuling layman looked at each other, clearly smelling a trembling fluctuation from this level of attack. Great immortal art? The stone pillars surged, and the black chains seemed to have been provoked by some kind of provocation, and they looked down at Xueyan together with the envoy. Although the Holy Flame and the Great Immortal Technique are powerful, Xueyan's strength is not enough to make him truly moved. At that time, layers of crystal clear energy on the soul-enchanting messenger, like layers of pure energy crystals, slowly paved the way. The door of purgatory, close. Suppress me. Glass-colored flames appeared all over Xueyan's body, and the next moment, it turned into beautiful lines on his body, and this ancient purgatory stone gate swelled up. Shrouded, an indescribable coercion emanated from it. Ghost realm, soul transformation, the devil world. The devil's heart eats the gods. Looking at the two powers of the ghost world and the devil world on the soul-enchanting messenger, Xueyan had an idea and whistled. The two groups in his body were extremely weak, but they contained some superpowers that ordinary people could not understand and recognize. Peefed. What? Even if Xueyan just used the Holy Flame as an excuse to use the Great Immortal Technique to attack and fight, the soul enchanter was not afraid. But then two groups of weak energy pouring out of Xueyan's body were injected into the Purgatory Stone Gate, and the heart of the enchanter shrank violently, beating viciously. At this moment, the dark and gloomy gate of Purgatory seemed to be an insurmountable chasm. The flame energy scattered at random actually shattered and eroded all the power above his body. You. Who are you saying is vulnerable? Xueyan's body collapsed, like a curtain of the sky falling down. The huge pressure of hundreds of thousands of caddies directly overwhelmed the soul-enchanting messenger to the ground. There were bursts of harsh bone friction sounds from his limbs, as if it would be completely shattered at any time. Oh! The gate of purgatory fell, and it shrank rapidly from the huge volume, and soon the body of the enchanter was completely shrouded, and a heart-piercing roar filled the air. At this moment, the enchanter of the soul was suppressed by the magic of the ghost world and the magic of the demon world. In addition to the powerful suppression force that filled the gate of purgatory, it was as if he had fallen into an unknown country, and all the power in his body could not be mobilized for a while. With the body of a mortal, how can it fight against the ancient taboos? The dark aura emitted by the magic of the ghost world, and the dark aura emitted by the magic of the devil world penetrated into the body of the soul-sucking messenger little by little along the gate of purgatory, and the eyes of the soul-sensating messenger were filled with endless horror. 2 breaths poured into the body and soul became numb, and the whole body actually melted a little bit. Demon world creatures, unless there are a few powerful people standing at the peak of the demon world, no one can avoid the suppression of the magic world, even Xueying, who only knows a little about the skin. Because the word, Shenju, contains too many laws and regulations in this realm. Of course, similar to Xueying, if some strong people use the divine art of the human world to suppress, Xueying, who has Fenju, is naturally not afraid. This guy. At this moment, the spirit and vitality of the enchanter quickly disappeared. Although Xueying's breath became out of breath because of this, Su Xueying, who was emotionally rioting on the stone pillar, became a little sluggish and calmed down, and immediately looked at Xueying's figure with complicated eyes. The tyrannical messenger of the triple reincarnation was actually solved by Xueying so easily? Btth2. However, even Su Xueying didn't realize that due to her exhaustion just now, all the power in her body seemed to have been enchanted, and even the magic fire in the holy flame in her body actually melted little by little in the blood and skin, and there was a scorpion on her chest. Black blood is brewing. The black blood of demons has completely transformed her identity from a creature in the human world into a person in the demon world. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 2364. Fall. With a big wave of his hand, the endless aura of divine art poured into the gate of purgatory in an endless stream. The void buzzed, the black stone pillars in the entire giant hall and the chains carrying the tyrannical pressure suddenly exploded. The strange power breath, accompanied by the sound of the broken rock chains, slowly turned into dust and disappeared here. No matter how tyrannical the power of the enchanter is, under the confinement of the power of the 2 gods, it is like a baby, unable to turn the wind and waves at all. Senior, are you all right? After resolving the crisis, Kaoru Yu waved her hand and hurriedly tore the energy barrier that imprisoned the 3. It's okay. Thank you for this. The old man who stayed here at the Poison God Palace looked at Xueying with relief. He naturally knew what happened in the Poison God Palace not long ago, but he had no choice but to be tasked with guarding the frontier and couldn't go back. Now that I have seen with my own eyes, these 2 human beings who helped the Poison God, both in terms of strength and character, are the best choices. Senior, what's going on? Xueying turned around and asked the old man, but did not rush to ask Su Xueying and Zuling Layman. This fellow was once a person from the ghost realm. Later, the ghost realm was judged and brought under the jurisdiction of the demon realm. The power of the ghost realm and the power of the demon realm are combined, and even some peak powerhouses of the triple reincarnation are difficult to deal with. In addition, his strength and aura are not within the record management scope of the powerhouses in the center of the demon world, and our group of people is negligent in defense, and this is what he said. I think this is also what the powerhouses of the demon god realm had to do when they heard that our poison *** was coming. The old man spoke slowly, and then activated the terrifying poisonous power in his body to repair the buzzing spatial patterns in the giant hall. These things are the hubs that connect the demon god realm and the poison god realm. Once they are destroyed, the consequences will be disastrous. He simply had Xueying's help this time, and there was no danger. Otherwise, a seal would be loosened and the demon god realm would invade. With his strength and status, he would never face the many powerful elders of the Poison God Palace. Because the Poison God realm is now in a troubled season, it is absolutely unbearable for a battle between 2 realms. Brother Xueying. Zuner walked up directly, supported Xueying who was weak, and immediately looked at Su Xueying in front of her. The woman in front of her was as light as a swallow, and her whole body was full of aura of arrogance. She even looked at Xueying with extremely resentful eyes. At first glance, she knew that she had an affair with Xueying. Btth2. Just as Xueying and the 2 were talking, a beautiful figure in the distance trembled violently, and a mouthful of scarlet blood spurted out of the jade mouth. The blood is scarlet, but it doesn't look like the blood of ordinary human beings. It is actually mixed with a crazy magic power. Are you okay? Xueying took a deep breath and then let out a faint voice. Even though Su Xueying lowered her forehead and tried her best to cover up her appearance, Xueying's sense of smell could still see through it at a glance. Moreover, this guy looks very strange now, and the aura in his body is completely different from before. I am afraid that something is not right. I'm fine. Su Xueying raised her head abruptly, and her eyes surrounded by the pattern of demonic fire immediately looked at the pair of beautiful people in front of her. Although Su Xueying had long heard that Xiaoyan had established the endless fire domain and that there were still several mistresses in the domain, but now that she had seen it with her own eyes, the pain in the bones of her body still pierced the last nerve in Su Xueying's heart. Su Xueying, the matter of the Xiao family is indeed our Xiao family's fault first, but things are not what you think. Old Feng controls all the secrets. You can go back with me. All misunderstandings will be solved. Xiaoyan did not escape, and his firm gaze met Su Xueying's resentful eyes. No need, people from the Xiao family, I don't believe it. Before Xiaoyan could finish his words, Su Xueying refused directly. You. When Xuan heard this, she was naturally a little angry. Then what do you want? You keep saying that our Xiao family are all ruthless and unrighteous people, but when the Great Thousand World is endangered, who will stand up to protect this world? Even if we were charged with countless crimes in the end, have our descendants of the Xiao family ever had any complaints? What more do you want? Xiaoyan was directly angry, and his voice resounded like a violent lion. I want your life. Su Xueying was stunned by Xiaoyan's words for a while, but she became angry the next moment, and she was talking nonsense. Tear off. If you need it, just take it. With a weak body, Xiaoyan took a step forward, tore off the clothes on his chest with both hands, and showed his chest completely in front of Su Xueying. You lunatic. Senior Zuling Lei, let's go. Xiaoyan, I have written down my love this time, and it will naturally be repaid to you in the future. When the voice fell, Su Xueying clutched her wound, dragged her bruised body, and turned to leave. After this incident, I am afraid that the relationship between the two will be a lot weaker. Alas, since ancient times, heroes and heroes, who can pass the love test. Since I have a predestined relationship with your excellency, why not let me divination for him? The Zuling layman shook his head and suddenly had a whim. Wang buzz. Between the brows of the Zuling layman, a gorgeous ancient book about the size of a palm, twisting the void, descended here. This is. The eyes of the old man on the side were filled with turbidity and shock, staring at the ancient book in front of the Zuling layman, unable to speak for a long time. Magic language book? The legendary thing that records countless information in the demon world? After a while, Xiaoyan took a deep breath at the same time and exclaimed. Take a trace of your essence and use it. Lay Buddhist bamboo spirit held the ancient book with one hand, and his whole body was immediately filled with endless majesty. Tick. Xiaoyan stretched out his hand, a trace of origin qi roared away, and lightly landed on the ancient book. Xiaoyan's source energy was under the operation of the Zuling layman, his fingers gently incited, and he began to flip this legendary ancient book. Tear it off. The pure and transparent white paper was gently flipped, and each flip seemed to span endless years. After a long time, the white paper of the Book of Heaven suddenly solidified in the void, and there were certainly scenes permeating the white paper. In the picture, there is a bottomless abyss, and a gap that looks like a deep well appears in it. Next to the deep well, the bodies of Xiaoyan and Su Xueying appear, and the two of them slowly stare at the deep well. There seems to be something ancient like a sword in the deep well. Time is fixed here, and it has not moved for a long time. This is the language of the scriptures. Even I can't decipher it. I hope there will be a chance to see you again in the future. I will take good care of this girl. After all, I have an affair with the demon god realm. This guy's potential is quite incredible. The voice fell, and the Zuling layman put away the Book of Heaven, then stepped into the void, and went to pursue Su Xueying. The prophecy picture of the Book of Heaven slowly haunted Xiaoyan's mind, but unfortunately no matter how he explored, he was only half understood. Brother Xiaoyan. It was not until the breath of the two of them disappeared that Zuner put her hands on her back and looked at Xiaoyan with a smile on her face. Cough cough. This is a long story. Xiaoyan coughed dryly, trying to prevaricate the past, but unfortunately facing Xuan. Zuner didn't speak, but her slender eyelashes flickered slightly, which was indescribably moving. Unfortunately, under such tenderness, there seemed to be an angry and roaring volcano, looming. This matter has to start with a bead. Quote. Devil. End. End of this chapter.